inside. Okay, now let's take one of them. By the way, in this training, you will be taught how to create a database. You'll be able to delete a database. So all of these databases can be deleted. Please don't, if you join any company, the rule is anything you didn't create, don't delete, okay? If you just go there and say, oh, this table, I don't know what it's doing, and you just go and delete it. You don't know whether that's the only table, that's the only one that is serving one report that the CEO sees or that some department sees, and you delete it, you're going to cause a lot of trouble. So the general rule is, excuse me, if you didn't make it, don't delete it. Okay, let's go into one of them in the simplest form again. Okay, in a database, and database is represented by this kind of a bucket here. Okay, you have a few objects in there. Yeah, so you have the database diagram. If you go to a very good company, they should have done the diagrams for you. You are going to need database diagram to make life easier for you. The company, I said they had 28,000 tables. They couldn't do it. It was, I struggled there to make sense of, it took me a long time before I could come to terms with the things they did there. And why? Because they didn't even have the basic stuff. Let's go into AdventureWorks. AdventureWorks is one of the tables, is one of the databases created by Microsoft itself. And if I open the diagram, you can see a few things. You can make a few diagrams. Okay, let's see, new database diagram. And if I decide to join a few things here, what this would do for me, again, please don't get, all of this is just random stuff that I'm showing. I shouldn't have shown you this, but if I decide to do this, shift this, what else? This. Let's just pick a few things here and do some diagram. There's something I want to pick out here. Let's do add. When we get to SQL Server, when we get to start doing SQL Server, you understand why these database diagrams are very important. Now, they are important because, you know, you're working with a relational database. What does that mean? In your database, let me open, well, this is still opening. While it's still opening, let me open some tables here. Okay, so, okay, before I go to the tables, okay, as you can see, there is a relationship between some of the tables. Can you see there is a table pointing to a table, pointing to a table, pointing to a table. There's this one pointing to this. Straight away, if they tell me to go and do some work on this, I know which tables to link up to get my perfect information. Now, having said that, I'm going to pause there to tell you the reason why you have to go from one table to the other is because one table, and I'll explain what a table is. Okay, before I even go into table, let me explain what a table is. This is an Excel document, right? This is like a table. What do I mean by a table? It's a place where I write data into, right? So let's say this is name, address, city, products you bought, the city where you live, the date of birth, whatever. Yeah, so this is a table, right? And this can just be a customer table. Basically means a table is a place where I store customer details, right? It's a table where I store customer details. Now, a table will have what I call columns. We all know what column is. This is a column, that's a column, that's a column, that's a column. Then it will have records. Yeah, number one. Okay, let me add something here, insert let's say this is customer ID. Customer ID. If I open this one too, I am sorry if I am, please, you will ask your questions in a bit. Please just bear with me, just to make you understand what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so you can see from what I've opened here. So this is a table. Let's say I've got some information about a few people here. Number one, the name is Brian. He lives in Liverpool. The product is bought is a PS5, whatever, and all of that. So all of that, I have all those details stored in that table. And that's that table done. I can then have another table. Let's say another one. Let's create a new one here. Another table can be staff. So staff ID, staff name, staff department, all of that. Okay, that's what a table is in the simplest form, right? So you can see what a table is on Excel. In database, it is like that. Now let's go and pick up a table in the database and see what I'm talking about. All these represent tables, by the way, and these are the columns inside the table. That's what this is showing you. Let's pick up a sales order table, right? Sales order table, or sales order header table. If I open that bit there, that plus, you can see that it brings up a few things. It says this table has got some columns. These are the columns. Now that would correspond to what you have here on these as, you know, the columns, and the column will have their headers. So whenever you hear me talk about the column headers or the column name, yeah, we've got them, staff ID and all that, name and all that, department and all that. Okay, so in this table here, the table is called, oh, by the way, so if I was going to do, so my Excel document can also be a database. I use that it can't be, it's not a database, but let's assume it's a database. And I name these as, at the bottom here, I call it, this is my staff. So it is, let's call it a database actually. This is where I store data. So I am a small company. I only sell cake. And you know what? I just keep record of the cake sales, the people that come in and all that. So I don't need fancy equipment to run my stuff. I just need an Excel document, which most people do with their little business, right? So this is my staff rota, my staff, whatever it is. These are the customers. Let's call it a little database. So these are my customer records here. Yeah. Okay. So the way it is here, as you can see, that is staff. That would be something like this here. The equivalent would be here, right? That is a table in the database, right? This Excel worksheet, this whole worksheet is my database. That is a table inside the database. That's another table inside the database. That's another table inside the database, and so on and so forth. Now, please don't be confused. What I'm trying to do is that if you go and read the textbook, they may not explain it the way I have explained it. What I'm trying to do is bring it down to everybody's level, because I understand the textbooks are written for people that are in IT already, for people that have, you know, the experience and all that, or people that, you know, are IT inclined. And I believe that most of us will at some point pick up something to read on this, but please, I'm trying to make you understand this so that everybody is carried along. I'll try to break it down for everyone. Okay, so now let's look at here. So these are like the little tables and those little tabs you see in Excel. If I open it, it says, if you open this Excel document, these are the columns you're going to see there, okay? All of that, and then you're gonna have records inside them, right? Under that, you have keys. What does key mean? Now that brings me to this place here, this diagram. You see this key here saying this is a primary key. I can connect this to that table using a common key. What does that mean? Why do we even need to connect stuff? Now, you can, if you know you want to do this course, you can take this down. A relational database is called relational database because it's a relationship database, right? And it is a relational database because we have decided that we can't have all the data in we can't just lump data into one table all the time. Okay, so Deji comes to buy an item from me today. Then I write it in my Excel. One sec. Let's say this is my customer. Brian comes today, and let's say time of purchase, whatever it is. So Deji comes at, Brian comes at 12:12. Oh, Deji has gone and Brian has gone and comes back again, right? Because it's the same person, Brian, yeah, the same address, he's now come to buy a controller because he realizes that the first game he bought only has one. He's come to buy another one. So it's come at 12:55 p.m. Oh, Deji goes on again. I keep saying Deji and Brian, whatever. Sorry, Brian comes again and says, hang on, I probably will need a camera. He comes here, Brian. Can you see what I'm doing to this database? I am putting redundant information here. I'm writing Brian. So if Brian comes here 10 times today, I'm going to have 10 Brians. Now imagine that you have 1 million people shopping in Tesco. And every time you come, some people come once, some people come twice. You're not having that. What's going to happen to that table is going to blow, going to explode. You're going to have too much data there, right? So what do? We try to break things down into, you know what? We're going to have a customer table. That's just going to record our customer names, address, and information, and that's it. Yeah? Then we're going to have another table, which is for customer purchases, what they come to purchase. So every time, if I want to see what Brian buys, yeah, I don't need to go to a table that contains everything. I can then say, hang on, there is another table somewhere that's called purchase. And for every purchase, you're going to have the customer ID. Whoever buys the item, we have to store their ID there. And say, okay, all right, if I join this table to that table there using the key customer ID, I can get a full picture of everything Brian has bought over the years. And that's what a relational database is about, right? We don't want to keep all information in one table. It will be, you have redundant items in there. It's useless. You're wasting space. So we kind of normalize the table. I'm using key terms now, normalization, right? And there are like 4 levels of normalization, say 3, 4. You're going to learn all these things, right? And tables are broken into different types, into different parts. Now, let's look at this here. There's a sales order header table here. There's a sales order details here. If I open the sales order header, you see the columns you have, it just tells you there's a sales order, that's the order number. Every time you shop in Aldi or Tesco, or you shop online, you get an order ID, don't you? Right, that's it. Okay, your order date, your due date, the ship date, the status, the online flag, whether you bought online or whether you bought in store, whatever it is, all of that. But this doesn't give me all the details I need, right? As you can see from all of these table, you have a customer ID, right? And that's it, okay? We can't build a picture. We don't know if that customer is a man, if it's a woman, if it's a boy, if it's a girl, you know, if it's a whatever, we can't build, we just know that we have a customer ID on that table, which is great. If I go into sales order detail, oh, that's in sales order, but more details. The first one is a header, just the snapshot of the order. If I go into that one, oh, I can see the sales order ID, as you can see, that is linked to that one. Okay, so I can join there. So it tells me what product they've bought. So look at the order header. It didn't tell me what product they bought, right? It did not tell me anything about their product. But here now it's telling me their product. It's telling me their order quantity. It's telling me the unit price of each item. It's telling me the line total of what they bought. It's telling me, well, okay, other stuff that we need, right? The modified date and all that. Okay, again, this hasn't told me the full picture of the client that's bought it, right? I still don't know what the client is. But guess what? There's something called customer ID here. So if I want to build a big picture of, so I want to find who this customer is, what they've bought, you know, where their billing address is, where their ship to address is. If I want to build that, all the full picture, you can see I have to go to this table and then join it to this table and then join it to what I call a customer table. Let's see if we can find a customer table. It might be a person table. One sec, please. Sales store. Oh, by the way, I don't know what store they bought this from. So if I want to, if my report is about what store, I can go to the sales store, find out what store this person has done it. I don't know who sold it to them, the staff that sold to them. I can go to this table and build a picture by adding it to this. This is the product they bought. This is the salesperson. Okay, let us go to customer. So I'm going to use person here because I believe this is person. So in this table here, I can see, oh, wow, okay. So this is the persons, these are the people that shop in this store. I have an ID for them. I know now this is the title, their name, their email, the additional contact, and that. Okay, wow, that's not enough to build the full picture. I can go to another table for their email address and join it to that. I can go to their country, that country table, join it to that. So as you go along, you discover that it's a relationship database. They call it relational database, RDBMS, where you connect more than one table together to build a full picture of whatever you want to see. Now, I'm not going to bore you with that anymore. I think I've talked too much about that. That's a lot. Now, let's go to the simplest term of running queries here. Remember we said your job will be to query databases. Oh, by the way, I was talking about this diagram. So this diagram helps you to know which table link to which table. Yeah, you can see the diagram. There's a link between these two tables. So that means I can. So basically, if the information I want is in this table and that table, right? There's no link between the two of them. That means I've got to go through this. I've got to join this table to this, and then join this to them, and then join this to them to be able to build those two pictures. Again, it looks daunting. It looks too much of an information now. Don't worry. It's as simple as it can ever be, it can possibly be. Okay, having said that, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to run a little simple query. So I've talked about all of these being tables, right? And I've used an Excel document to show you what it is like. Let's now pick one table, and I'm going to use the sales order table, sales order header table, and I'm going to let you see exactly what I'm talking about. PQRS, sales order header. Okay, so the simplest term, I'm going to take this away now because the simplest way of writing any query, and every query you're going to write in SQL is going to start with this command, select. Select means I want you to pick something, right? Now let's put a star. Select star means pick everything you find in something. Okay, now I have to specify from where do you want to pick it from? What's the name of my database? The database I'm working from is called AdventureWorks. Yeah, remember? So I say from AdventureWorks 2017. Then if I look down, I will say that this one has sales order header, right? The sales dot, that sales is the name of the schema. What is a schema? I'll explain a schema in a layman's term again. Just imagine that I have folders, right? Someone is sending a message. Please, because I'm going on, I can't answer your questions. Please feel free to stop me and ask me your question. How many years did I work as a data analyst? Who asked that question? And why would you like to know? If I may Flow iPad, why would you like to know that information? Flow iPad, please, can you explain your question? Can you unmute and ask your question?
Hello?
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to know how long you worked as a data analyst before moving on to develop as a developer.
Okay, so
and how did you do? How did you make the move?
Luckily for me,
thank you.
When I started work, I was employed as a data analyst, and they employed me because they had a project going on, because the company had just purchased a new software. They needed to develop new reporting tools, new everything. So they brought me in as a data analyst. But very quickly, a data analyst, remember, as a data analyst, you're never supposed to know this SQL that I'm teaching right now, that I'm talking about. But when I came in, I started querying their databases. And they were like, oh, wow, you can do that. I'm like, yeah, I can. So in my role, it said data analyst, but I didn't do analysis or anything. They just drafted me into the developer role straight away because, well, analyst/developer, because they saw that this guy, you can write queries, you can query all our databases. Oh, right, okay, why don't you move on to developing our reports, SSRS reports, which was very great for me. And again, don't forget, because we were in the middle of transitioning, that was very easy as well, because all the task was just shared across the team. And there was a day my boss just said, you remember the boss I said to you that sat beside me while I was in SSRS? Yeah, she was like, oh, I will need you to do this. And I'm like, I've not done it before, I can't do it. She said, don't worry, we're a team. And they just, everybody just joined together and we did it. Stuff like that started picking up from there. So in that role, and I spent about 1.5 years there, I worked pretty much as an analyst, a BI analyst, and a developer at the same time. When I left there, left for another BI developer job. So yeah, for me, it was kind of, I don't advise you to get a data. If you get a data analyst job, that's great. If they put SQL and all that, that's great. In fact, if you do that very quickly, they will draft you into the BI team straight away if you can write your queries. So your journey is going to be as fast as that as well. But being a developer, you need to then start learning other extra stuff along the line, which there will be opportunities. Once you get into a company, and you can show your flair for stuff like this, you want to learn, you will learn. They will be happy to have you learn it. Yeah, because you're adding value to them. If you can be a developer, you add value to them. Okay, thank you very much for your question. And I hope I've answered that question. Right, okay. Please, if anybody has a question, because I can't be looking at the screen and then looking at that, just stop me. Please unmute and just ask away quickly, and I'll answer you. Okay, so this is the name of the database that I'm going to go and query, but then I need to go and check which folder. As you can see, in this database, there are several folders there. There's the human resource folder. Under the human resource folder, you have the departments. Under the human resource folder, you have employees. Under the human resources folder, you have the employees department history. So just think about each of the Excel documents being stored in a particular folder, just like the folders on your computer. Your school projects, you put them in a folder called school project. Yeah. Your office projects, you put them in a folder called office project. Some of us, our desktop is very, very messy. Okay, I'm not picking on anyone here. Desktop on your computer, you have every file there. Then one day you just go, hang on, this is so crazy. I need to sort this out. So start creating folders. Okay, everything that has to do with my personal life, I put it here. If it's pictures, I'll create a little folder here. That's exactly what we're doing here. Those folders, they are called schema. It's a schema. So the order with which you query a database is select from database dot schema, which is the folder, dot the table name. Yeah. Schema database. So first of all, I have to go to the database, then I have to go to the folder, then I have to select the table I'm after, right? In this case, we're selecting star means we're selecting everything from that database. The schema we want, the folder we want is the sales folder, right? Which we talked about before. I'll bring it here. You can see sales, and we want the sales order header table. So we go dot sales order header table. Oops. Done. Okay. So you can see I have said get me, select means go and get me everything you find in that database. But the database has got so many folders. Then I narrow it down to this folder. But in that folder, I've got so many details, so many tables, so many stuff inside it as well. Then I narrow it down to the specific table I want. Now I'm going to click execute. Boom. And look at what I've got here. Can you see this is pretty much an Excel document? And if you don't believe me, I'm going to copy all of these, copy with headers, and I'm going to take it all the way to Excel so that you see what I've been talking about all along. And then we'll come back and match things up again. So let's come here. And I'm going to right click and paste. Okay, so basically, I'm going to make this bold. Let's make this bold. Okay. So as you can see here, what I was telling you before, these are the columns in the table. If I open that here again, can you see? I have, oh, come on. Where's my Excel? Okay. So I have the sales order header, sales order ID, the first one, then the second one, revision number, then the third one, order date, and this is, I need to change that back to date. Order date, okay. I need to change that to date, any type of date I want, I don't mind. Okay. So you can see due date, status, online order, sales order, whatever, purchase. So all of these that you see as a column here under your table, they are just columns like in an Excel document. And I hope that makes sense. That's the simplest thing. That's why I used an Excel to represent what this is. Okay. So think about a database like this, like there are documents in Excel being produced by companies and they are stored inside a folder inside the database. That's it. Okay, now having said that, now I am now looking at this data and I'm thinking, hang on, I don't need the revision number. I don't need, okay, I need the order date. I need the due date. I need the ship date. I need the status. Okay, I don't even need all of this information here. I just need a few things. Remember at the start, we said go and get everything in that table, right? Now I've seen everything in that table. I don't need everything. Yeah, I just need a few things. So I can say, okay, take away star, right? I'll take away star because star means everything. Now I'm going to be deliberate. Now I'm going to be intentionally selecting column by column. the first column I want is the sales order ID. Boom. So I'm saying from this database, only select that. If I click this now, it's only going to give me that, which I am going to try. Now, 1 sec. Let me just do it. Execute. Boom. So as you can see, if you say select and you click only one, it will bring only one in. Let's add another column to it. Select what else? What columns do we have here? Let's have customer ID. So to pick another table, I need to separate both of them with a comma. Customer ID. If I click execute again, it brings the other column there. Yeah. Now, some people like to put their comma in front. It doesn't matter where you put it, comma front, as long as there's a comma separating them. Some people, I've seen some people, they even write everything on one line, customer ID, and the next one, they put the other one, salesperson, everything on one line. Yeah, it will still work. Now, good practice for me, if you want to do this, and I'll tell you why, I put my commas here. And I'll tell you why. I put my commas here. There are some queries you write, they are like 300 lines long, right? And then you want to remove a few things, right? And then if commas are in front, just imagine that the comma is here and the comma is here. That means I have to go to this one and delete that one and then come down and delete that one and all that. However, if I have them on a single line here, I can use a special tool here. I hope I can still remember this, Control-Alt-F4.
Hello, you're not
You're
audible.
muted. You're muted.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, cool. Okay. So basically what I said was I could batch select so many things and remove all of that comma in one go. However, if I try to do it from the front here, because the front is not on a straight line, where D ends here is different from where D ends here, different from where it ends here, I can't do that. Okay, but if I put all of them there, I can do it. Anyway, those are best practices. We've never started yet. So yeah, I can decide to pick other stuff. Let's see. What else can I have? Let's account number for that. Okay, comma, what else do I need? I want total due. What else do I need? Maybe something else. Territory ID. Comma, territory ID. Okay, so these are the information I need from this table. If I click execute, it brings everything out for me. Now, if I look at the bottom here, saying that in this table, there are 31,465 records there. Yeah. Okay. It's telling me the name of the my server as a whole and all of that. Okay. So now this is that information. As you can see, initially when I did select star, it brought all the tables, all the columns.
Can you make it a bit bigger, your screen?
I'm sorry. Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
So initially when I did, and oh my God, I can't remember my command now, which is annoying. because I should just do something now. Control F. No. Bloody hell. Okay, what? Okay, I'll try to remember it in a bit. Okay, so if I had done select star, it would have brought all of these columns out. But because I've decided to say, okay, I don't need all that information, I just need these, then that brings me all of those informations here, just the ones I need. Okay, like I said before, this is the simplest query you would ever write. Now, I ask a question. Can you guys remember to write select a column name from a database? Can you do that? Yes. So this is the simplest stuff you'll do. Anybody can do this if you're shown this. Yeah, and this is why I say this course is very easy. It's not one of those programming languages where you will have to, there's new thing every day. No, every query you're going to write every day is like this. It is like this. Now, there are other stuff that you can add to this. For example, I didn't put a date here. One sec. Let me see. Let's see. Other date. Let me add an other date here. Other date. Okay. So these are the dates. So I can say, you know what? I don't want to see all this record. This is from 2011 all the way to what? Some years. Okay. I can say I don't want to see 2011 details. I just want to see 2014. Then I can start adding filters to it where the year of order date is equal to 2014. Yeah. What this does then is it says, you know what? I'm going to exclude all the records from other year. I'm only going to give you 2014 records. Can you see? I am extracting what I want from a database. And that's how simple it is. As simple as that. Again, there are other stuff you can then start building. This is the simplest basic block, just writing a query. This is a query you've written, right? And that's a programming language. SQL Server, SQL is the simplest programming language out there that you ever find. Right? Okay. Now, if I look on this side there, you can tell that the definition of these columns, there's a little thing in front of it. Can you see int? That's a data type. It's telling me in this table, you're only going to find integers, numbers, and that's true. There's no way that you're going to find an alphabet here. Why? Because when this table was created, we have defined it that, look, it's only numbers that will be here. Okay, other dates, we're only going to find date time in there. Yeah, customer ID, you're going to find integers there, right? And so on and so forth. So you're beginning to learn something now. If you've never done programming before, I've said a few things now. There's something called data types. You already know some data types, which you have to know. There's integer, there's data type called money, there's data type called NVACA, there's data type called date time, integer, all of that, which you are going to get more when you join the course. Okay, I'm going to do a little tiny stuff and then I'm going to stop talking. So I can, like I said before, this is not giving me the full picture of who this customer is. Now I want to build something that looks like a full picture, right? Let me take this filter away for now. And let me just use something called SOH here. This is an alias. Alias, you know what we call AKA, also known as, yeah? In Nigeria, you call it alias. Yeah, okay. So I've said, okay, instead of every time I want to write this thing now, right? I don't want to be typed. This is too long. I don't want to type it like that again. I just want it to give me as SOH. So I can put here and say as SOH. Every time every time you see me refer to SOH here, it means this is the original name. Okay, let's join another table to it. I can then say left join. Now, as you can tell, I can use only join. I say join another table. But if I say join another table, then I will be, that's an ambiguous statement in terms of learning, because there are 3 or 4 types of join. There's a left join, there's more than that. There's left join, there's right join, there's cross join, there's outer join, there's all sorts of join, inner join. Okay, but again, not for this table. Joining just means we're connecting 2 tables together, right? So let's say left join. Left join. Again, the same database. I want to work from the same database. And you don't have to work from the same database all the time. I can decide to go to another database to pick information I need if your company is like that, like the civil service, that one that we talked. So if this is the civil service department that does election and have people's detail there, and we want to track someone that has been doing fraud with the company tax, they have company. We want to see whether they are even paying, whether they are even on the electoral roll, right? So we can say, okay, this is government database, but government have another electoral roll database. So we can say, this is company tax dot da 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 da. They will left join to electoral roll dot da 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 if they are connected. Okay, well, for this reason, for this course, dot sales order detail. Okay, and I'm going to alias this as SOD. Now I've said, okay, I want you to join these 2 tables, this one, which is this and this together. Join these 2 tables together for me. But then the question then is, you want me to join them? There should be a connection between the 2 of them. What's the connection between the 2 of them? Now let's open the columns and see. If I open the column here, we should see matching stuff here, matching record, matching table, column name. So you can see sales order ID is here. And if I go on the other one, I should be able to find sales order ID, right? Good. That means because they are matching, they have a relationship, I can join them. Then I can say on. So instead of typing all that name now, I just use SOH. Otherwise, I would have had to type all of that. So you can see why I'm using an alias dot sales order ID is equal to SOD dot sales order ID. Okay, now having done that, then I can then say, you know what? I need some other columns. I need some other columns from the sales order ID table. As you can see, all of this table, all of these now, I got them from this first table, if you remember. Now, because I got them from this first table, I've now joined another table so that I don't start having confusion everywhere, because some of the names may be similar. I now need to go and define and say, look, this table, this is your parent table, okay? It's SOH. 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 Now, what I told you that I wanted, I can't believe I forgot my stuff just now that I need to use to put, so I could just put that SOH in batch on one of them and it just does it for everything. I'm going to find that out. I can't believe I forgot that now. That's silly. SOH dot. SOH dot. SOH dot. So what I mean, what I'm just trying to do here is that, look, all of these columns here, I got them from that table here. Now I can start bringing the tables, the columns from the other one. Now that will now become SOD dot. I can then find other quantity. Then SOD dot product ID. SOD dot What else could I get here? Unit price and quantity. Okay. Okay, let's put unit price. Right, okay. So let's do that. If I click execute, you see, I now have more information from another table coming in here. Yeah? Okay. Now, having said that, we don't need a few things here. I don't need this territory ID. I don't even need the salesperson that, because I don't want to do any report on salesperson. I don't need that. Okay. Do I need the account number for now? I probably don't. Okay. So now I can see that this person came to our store. This is the customer ID they have. This is the order ID. They bought an item and then bought another item. They bought 3 of these. As you can see, this is the same customer. This is the same customer, and in that ID, in that sales ID, in that order ID, they have purchased more than 1 item. Remember when you go to a store, you buy like 5 shirts, 5 shoes, whatever in one go. This is it, because I've added the details to it now. It's now telling me this person came to our store, they bought all of these items. If I add up everything here, it's going to add up to the total due. So as you can see, the total due came from the order header. Now, the header table is just going to give you a snapshot of this person came here, they spent 100,000. Okay, we don't know what they bought. They gave us, this is what their ID, this is what they bought, account number, blah, 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 done. However, if I go to the other detail, now breaks it down and say, you see that person that spent £5,000, these are the items that they bought. And that's what we've done here. Okay, now I've done this, which is great, but then I'm looking at this customer. This customer has spent £23,000 in our store. Must be a very valuable customer. Let's find out who this customer is. Yeah, okay, how do I do that? Then I'm going to say, okay, you know what, let's join this to a customer table, which is person.person. Oopsie, sorry, AdventureWorks.person. Let's call this PP. Then I go on pp.business entity ID, which is their unique ID. We're going to be talking about IDs later. .SOH customer ID. Okay, and now I'm going to say, what do I want from here? PP dot the person's first name, PP dot the person's last name. Yep, okay, and then I can click execute. Okay, this is not giving me any, okay, so this person has not even given us their name, but if you keep going down the table, we can see, oh, Mr. Alexis Patterson, Mr. Marcus Morgan, Mr. Destiny Anderson, and all of that. So we can now see that we are building a full detail of everything. This is what your job is going to be, because you see those CEOs, those guys in the account department, those guys in region and all that, they do not know how to do this, right? They don't even know how the data comes to the database, because just imagine someone is in faraway Wales, the Tesco in Wales, and everything they're doing there is coming to London, the London head office, right? Okay, they don't know how we've pulled it in. They don't even know how the thing appears here. We've got it here, and they say, look, we want to know how much we sold today. On their own system, they can see how much they sold, but we know the breakdown. We can give them the breakdown of everything and like this. So this is the simplest form of stuff here. And I can say, you know what, this is still so many years. I can then put filter on it and say where the year is 2014. So these are the items sold. These are the customers that bought stuff with us in 2014, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. So this is what you're going to be doing. Now, why do I need Excel? Because all of these items are not enough. You can't give this to a CEO and say, oh, the customer that came to our store in 2014 is 33,000. You think your CEO is going to look at 37,000 lines on Excel? Let me bring this to Excel and see how nasty it is. Okay, let's go to Excel. Oh, come on, don't close it. Let's go to Excel. Let's bring the data in. Put it here. So your CEO has come to say to you, oh, I want to know how much sales we did in 2014. And you say, oh, God, look, this is the record. This is it. I don't think there's any CEO in the world that has the time to look at this. Say, even you, if I tell you to go and spot a mistake in this document for me, I promise you're going to make like 1 million mistakes before you come back with this, right? Okay, so that's not going to happen. So basically, here, I have that. I can change that to currency. Can change that to currency. To be honest, I don't even need that. To be honest, I don't need that. I don't need that column because that's going to double count. This is the only one I need here. Okay. Okay. So now the CEO doesn't want to see all this nonsense. He just wants to see a precise small report. In that case, I can say, okay, you know what here? Let me now do something to make it more palatable for the person looking at it to look at it. So I can say this is the total price. As you can see, this has summed up all the money that we earned for that time. And then we can say, you know what? Order date. As you can see, this is becoming a more beautiful report. The CEO knows, oh, in January 2014, this is how much we sold. Great. In Feb, great. All of that came from that bloody data here, which nobody's going to look at, right? But they can look at this, right? I can decide to say, okay, you know what? This is going to be nasty. And I think I'm going to blow this thing up, which is not good. I'll take it back. Okay, doesn't look right. Okay, so what else do I want to do? Yeah, okay, so that's that. I can also, so basically this is a monthly report here, right? I can then split it into the product that is sold. I don't want the product ID. As you can see again, this report is not good enough because this is just product ID. Does your boss want to know about product ID? No, it doesn't care about the ID we give product. What he wants is, look, I want to know the name of the product. So that means I need to go and bring the product into it. So I'm going to say left join. If you guys don't stop me, I'll just keep going. So I'm actually going to stop now. Dot production dot product. Yeah. Then let's call that PPP. So on PPP dot product ID equal to SOD dot product ID. Okay. And then I can bring the name of the product in here. So PPP dot product number. This one doesn't even have product name, so I have to go to another table to go and find it. Anyway, you get the gist what I am trying to achieve with that. Okay, so let's come back here. As you can see from that rough data, as an analyst, I've been able to make sense out of this. I can change all that to currency and say, listen, this is what we've done. Okay, I can do something else and say, okay, I don't want to see sales by month. I want to see sales by customer's first name. Okay, this one will give me all their first names. Alicia spent this, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now, this is a rough sketch of what you're going to be doing. We're going to fine tune all of that. But yeah, I'm going to stop talking and take questions because of time. Olaleko has raised up their hand. What is your question? Please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, just a quick one. Sorry, please. I just want to know, you keep using left join. Is it that you can't use right join? What's the difference between the two?
Okay, so this is one of the things that you're going to be learning in the course. A left join means that I have a table that I'm going to be on the left, right?
Right.
Everything that I'm going to be pulling in has to have a matching record. Now, what that means is this. Let's say this is A, table B, right? And I have some IDs here. Let's say ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, ID 4. 4, right? 5. And I have ID 1, 2, 3, and 7, and 8 here. As you can see, there are matching records between the two. Yeah. And there are some records that are not matching. So if I do a left join, what I'm going to have is this. I'm going to have A1, B1 joined together. I'm going to have A2, B2 joined together. I'm going to have A3, B3 joined together, but I'm going to have A4 and I'm going to have A5. This is a left join. That means only matching records bring to me on the left. So I'm going to return every single thing here I have on the left plus matching records. Anything that is not matching, I'll discard it. If I want to do a right join, it's the same way, the other way around. So I'm going to have B1, A1, because it's a right join, I'm going to start with the right. B2, A2, B3, A3. But from here, I'm only going to return B7 and B8 because the other stuff there are not matching. That's a left join, that's a right join. Now, a right join is the same as a left join, depending on how you want to do it. Because all I just need to do, a right join or a left join, is just say, you know what? You see this table, which is B, I'm going to make it come first and put it here, right? So in that case, I can use a left join to bring the same result out. So left join, right join is the same depending on how you use it. Whichever table you put first for a left join is the one on the left. The one you're joining is joining it, right? So if I want to do a left join, if I want to do a right join, I can do a left join, but what I'll do is interchange the table and then do a left join anyway. So it doesn't matter. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Any more questions? Because I don't want to go more here. I don't want to confuse you.
Do we need to register on Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio before we download
anything? Everyone is going to have this for free on their systems. You don't need to register anything. Power BI, you may need to register on your own if you want that. But yeah, all of these.
How do we get it then?
When we get to that stage, I will download it on your system. I will put it on your system. Yeah, that's how you get it. If you know how to, you can go online. It's free. It's free to download. You can go online and do it, although there are some pitfalls in installing them. But yeah, when it's time, when we get there, like I said, it won't be after the first 4 weeks before you start doing this.
Okay, so the question I want to ask, understanding the concept of these tables, because like you looking at these adventure works, there's so many things. How will I say it's because you've been using it that made you understand what information is here, such that probably when you're faced with extracting records, you know how to call one table to the other.
Okay, so that's why you have me as a tutor, right? The first, I understand what your question is, and I personally asked that same question. when I was learning. How do I know what to do? With time, it depends on which company you work with. If you work in an e-commerce sales company, you know they're going to have sales. So there's always a sales order table and there's a sales order header table. There's always a detail table and there's a header table. You see header, detail. There's always that. Then there's always transaction history, right? There's always purchase order table. So when you have order, you have detail, you have header. Because we can't put all the details of a transaction in one table. So there's just going to be a table that's just going to collect the snapshots, and there's another table linked to it that's going to collect the details. Because remember the first table I showed you where we had all the same customer having 5 records in one or 10 records. So that person, so every time you shop in a certain store and you bought 10 items, if we didn't do it like that, that means in their database we're going to be having number 1, Brian, number 2, Brian, number 3, Brian, number 4, Brian, number 5. Just imagine everybody shopping online every single day, right? And everybody's buying a minimum of 3 items. Our servers are going to blow up because we're just keeping redundant details in there. But we can split it and say, okay, you know what? No matter who you are, as long as you hit our system once, we have your customer ID on one table. Then we have another transaction table, which is going to be, consist of transaction. But then it can consist and sit there. We don't need it all the time. Because don't forget that if we have just one big table where everything goes in, and you go and run this query in there, right? This query, when you do this course, you see that sometimes you run a query and it's slow. Why? You're querying a database. The database, the machine is thinking, is going back to work, it's filtering, it's trying to say, okay, this is what they want me to do. I'm going to say, okay, I want this and this and this and this. So it goes in and does the calculation and does everything and brings it out. If you have very large data sets, it will take a large time to bring out your data. So that way, when you put things there in, different tables and you send it, okay, I want you to pick something here and go and trace it there. It just goes in there and pick exactly what you want there. Your life is easy, time is short, you're saving space. So yeah, with experience, you get that. And that's why you're doing this course. You will get the experience. Can I say, okay, that's for another time. There's no need for that. But yeah, with time, and when you start doing your daily projects and your assignments and stuff, you get used to all the tables. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to work in a place where they do sales. Your company might be a charity where they help people. Yours might just be a place where they take calls. Yeah, theirs is going to be different from this, but this is what everyone is going to, they're going to teach you, they're going to show you these tables. You look at it, and any company you go to join, look at their reports. You can see what tables they use from their reports, because every report that they build, so all those dashboards that I showed you yesterday on the internet, this is their building block. This is where they start from. Everything you see there, this is at the background. So you go into the background, look at the report, say, oh yeah, these are the tables, these are the tables, these are the tables. That's fine. But yeah, if you're going to be working in sales, in commerce, you need to know all these other details and stuff and all that. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, one more question. Now, from what you've explained just now, takes me to, because all these things, they are languages, whatever, in any way I want to describe their languages. And maybe before we go in depth properly, one thing I could say could personally help me is that an understanding of those key concepts. Whilst you were talking, you mentioned integers, you mentioned schemas, although you did try to explain those things. I took some notes down. I want to ask, is there any probably kind of resource, probably a web page you can refer to that can actually make a summary, like a dictionary of those little languages that all you might just need to read it, understand. So by the time you're talking and somebody hears that, you understand, memory can now link, okay, this is what I read, this is the definition of this, this is the application of it. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
You know what they say, Google is your friend. Just hold on. This language is so popular that just go SQL data types. Anything you need, yeah, boom, you find it. Let's see. And you know what? The good thing is this. Any problem you're going to have, people have had it. There's a website called Stack Overflow. A lot of people in IT already will know that. Most IT people, even at work, if you're stuck, you're allowed to watch YouTube. IT is the only way, is the only job that you're allowed, well, I don't let me say it's the only job. Is a job where you're allowed to cheat. Because at the end of the day, no one cares. It's just, they just want the job done. So if you can go online and find it, why not? So this is, I've never been on this site before. Yeah, this is just a random site. And I'm saying, give me data types. Look, if you're going to do numbers, you've got integer, tiny integer, big integer, float, real. If you want to do date and time, you have date, time, you have date, time. If you want to do character and string, you have char, var, text, and varchar, all of that. Unicode, look at that. Binary data, you've got that. Miscellaneous data, you've got that. Okay? And that's just random. That's just random websites. You've got all of them there. Okay? So this one, if this site actually even tells you what is SQL, it explains everything to you. Yeah? What are functions? Select, insert, update, delete. These are all the things that you will be learning in the course, all of these stuffs. Yeah? So yes, trust me, there's so much information out there on the internet for you if you're not sure about anything. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Good. Any more questions? Please ask your questions. I don't want you to feel like, please, and don't feel intimidated about all of these stuff. I started like I said, I went for a naming ceremony and I heard what people were earning. And I thought, you know what, I'm angry with myself. I need to change from teaching to IT. I was in IT before I left for teaching. Things changed after I left and I came back, okay? It doesn't matter where you are. All that is required is your time and effort. If you put it into this, you get it back. You get your value back. But please ask questions and don't be shy. Ask questions. No one is shy, but please just ask questions. However silly it is, don't forget you're stepping into something new. No question is a stupid question. And that question you're holding on to, someone might be having it at the back of their mind as well. That might just be something that someone else needs to connect the dots for themselves. So yes, please ask your questions. Otherwise, I will call it a day here today.